Enable screen sharing, please.
Okay. Danny, we're here on the left, right pair, guys, and we're going to start with some action.
Wait, first I gotta get some water. I gotta fill up my water bottle.
I thought you were gonna tweet school some noobs.
I gotta fill up my water bottle, bro. I gotta go drink fluoride. My water's empty. It's got like just a little tiny bit.
That's not water, that's orange juice.
No, it's water, see. Okay, I'll be right back. Hit the pause button.
Okay, I'll hit the pause. I can't even find out how to share or let you share screen. All right, we're back with the left right pair, guys, and we've got Danny P. It's gonna share.
Hey, we've got this fucker right here, and
McClintock.
I'm trying to talk to him about.
His name is McClintock.
Hey, it sounds like he's either Scots or Irish.
What is
and
that?
He's a fucking tosser. What's that about? Anyway, I'm trying to talk to him about epidemiology, and he threatens me. What in the fuck is up with that?
He threatened you?
I'll block and report you. You see that? It's against Twitter rules, your move. Now, I'd say one more time, you can't compare the severity of one virus to other viruses if you're counting its effects differently from how you counted all the others. Doing so would be unscientific. Agree or disagree, your move.
Look, I don't like blocking or reporting people, but for your own sake, as well as mine, I'm bailing from this discussion. You can call that an emotional reaction if you'd like, and it is. COVID deaths hurt. Good night.
And now we're going to respond to this nasty fucker.
He's going to block you and report you.
Hey,
you're harassing him.
All right, so here we go.
Let me point out that Danny still has his Twitter account. I got mine unblocked. Woo! Badge of honor. Yeah.
So, you claim, you claim to be the rational, sciencey one in this discussion.
Discussion.
Yet, wait.
We get a glimpse into how Danny's brain works. This is his freedom fighting right here. This is how he's in the world.
Hey, I'm fighting the forces of Longshanks.
Right. And what we
this
are
right here is the battle of McClintock. That's what it is.
The sphere of McClintock. Let me just talk about something else while you formulate your tweet. And just give him some background of your my observation of your online presence is he's the Real Earth Party on Twitter, and he has a website, theearthparty.net, and he so what drew me to Danny is he writes a lot like me, and yeah, and he seems to have pragmatic solutions, but also he looks at things and deconstructs problems the way I do. So maybe our solutions might be different, but he sees problems in much the same way as I do, and he's able to tap in. You know that feeling when somebody taps into your brain, like you get it, you know, you click with somebody because they express something in a certain way that resonates with you. That's what I noticed. And the cool thing was I saw he was in my protest group on Facebook, and I saw his he shared his article, which was COVID COVID-19 is the new 9/11, which is genius in and of itself. You should read that article. I'll share it in the description. And when you see that, when I read it, and I don't think I even read it all, but like I already knew I liked it because I just read enough, you know. And so he came to my protest and he was like showing people his phone. He was like, look at my article. And normally I'd be like, oh gosh, you know, but then I was like, wait a second, it's actually pretty cool that he writes. Oh, it's this one guy. I remember his article. And I remembered thinking it was a really popular publication, but it's actually underappreciated, probably suppressed publication, honestly, by Google, you know. Like I used to write a blog a lot like his back in 2016, Modern Life Survivalist, but I kind of gave up because like the way they've censored things on Google, they like took down Mercola.com like many notches. So people don't even land on your page now, even if you write like an amazing article and get all your keywords down and your keyword game is good. So in a way, it's almost better to fly under the radar or like trick people into some sort of other focus, and then you can, you know, maybe get a following. I don't know how Tim Pool, let's talk about Tim Pool. How is that guy still on YouTube? It's because he sort of has that appearance of like a strict leftist still. He has like the credibility of a leftist, but he's he's like one of the biggest red pillars of the community. He's a pillar of the community. There you go. Did you hear that, Danny?
Yeah.
All right, so share your tweet.
So you claim to be the rational, sciencey one in this discussion, and you point out how I bemoan desacralization, but you set up an entire field of science, i.e., epidemiology, as nothing short of sacred. You've declared all debate on it forbidden. You've declared that if I attempt to debate you on epidemiology, you will not only abandon the conversation instantly, but materially retaliate and hurt me by destroying my account. This is a contradiction.
Well, it's really sad too that anybody can actually intimidate you by saying I'll report you. Like they shouldn't have that much power, because if you disagree with anybody on some issue, like I think you should give me your money, or you should let me pass in the on the right instead of the left. And if you don't do that, I'll call the police and have your license plate looked up and then revoke your license because you didn't let me pass on the right. It's like, well, you were the one who wasn't following the rules. I'm just following the rules here, and I didn't feel that it was appropriate to let you pass on the right. So why, you didn't break any rules. You're allowed to discuss things. I assume we still live in a free country, and we're allowed to have differing opinions about things. So what is his thought process there? They're drunk on power, I guess. I think it's just they're drunk on power.
Oh, look, the one time I ever reported somebody, that I was right. You know what this person said? I remember it. It's the only time I've ever reported somebody. One time. You know what she said?
Yeah, what?
It was something about hating white people. And I reported it for racism.
Wow, they upheld it. Can I see her tweet? Do you have it?
Boy, I mean, it was a long time ago. It was probably almost like a year ago, and it took them a year to take this mild, hateful racist.
Yeah, wouldn't it make sense to have the tweet in question in these reports? Have you noticed on Facebook?
Because they don't want to trigger you by showing it to you again.
Right, but the Facebook now, if they remove a post, you can't even look. You can't even.
Yeah, I know.
You can't even see what you did wrong. So you're being tried. It's literally Franz Kafka's The Trial. Like you tweeted something that goes against our policies. So they've literally instituted the Franz Kafka-esque restrictions, and your account might actually be in this limbo for violating guidelines. And it says because it violates our guidelines, we won't display it on Facebook. That's what they said. So you can't even access the thing that you said yourself.
I know.
That is just sick.
And like when they censor you on YouTube or whatever, they don't even tell you what part of your video, but they don't even, like, they tell you that, oh, your video got deleted for medical misinformation. They did this to me. But of course, they won't tell you what was misinformation.
Yeah, turn off your share screen a while so we can show.
So how am I supposed to know, theoretically, if I actually gave a shit what YouTube thought, how would I know what claim to stop making if they don't tell me what claim was false?
That's exactly what I was saying. That's how that's exactly my point, is like, I want to follow your rules, even if I don't really want to.
I know, we don't give a shit.
I want to go get around your rules. Let's put it that way, right? That's the fact. I want to operate on your platform with the reach that it has and still remain on the platform. Okay, so that's the plan. But even if theoretically I wanted to start to adhere to the rules in order to maintain my theoretically, like, we want to actually abide by the rules, then explain the rule better. That's all we're asking. This is the same thing with the mask thing. You know, it's just like, you can't even debate it and try to get a sense of what am I allowed to do? Because what if I were to come with the approach of, you know, I want to not spread germs. I would like to not spread germs. I would like to follow, you know, the guideline and actually avoid it. So why are you mandating something that does not actually prevent the spread of germs? You know, or something like that. It's just like, I wish to accomplish the goal that you want, like, but it in actuality, it doesn't accomplish anything like the goal that you want, that you are attempting. Danny, this has been very podcasty.
We were talking.
I'm a Karen. I'm like, don't eat while you're podcasting. A big no-no.
You were talking.
This is supposed to be a very raw, like, forum that's funny and silly, so I can't begrudge him for eating. Okay, so let's do the
right, laddie. I'm all fed and ready to go.
All right,
ready to smash the English. Is that hateful? Am I allowed to say that? Of course, it's the English. We're allowed to hate them. They're white.
Right. So does that by proxy make Scottish people black?
Scottish people are non-white in the context of comparison to the English, but they're of course white in comparison to anybody else.
This is how controlled that dialectic is, like how well they've gotten these people to work within their own paradigms. They've got the IRA thing, you know, the Irish thing and the Scottish thing, who hate the United Kingdom. They will join the European Union or remain in the European Union just to spite the United Kingdom. So they'll join the larger globalist organization in order to spite their long ago enemy. It's disgusting.
Do we know that the Scots are going to join the EU if they get independent?
We don't know, but I remember that was a talking point that was going around online, and it was something that sort of the higher representatives had said, and some of the conspiracy types that I talked to said that they were willing to join the European Union just to spite the Queen. So that to me is just ridiculous thinking, you know. That's revenge. That's vengeful instead of meaningful. you know, principled thinking. That's what we need. We need principled thinkers.
Oh, look, he responded already. Mr. McClintock.
You want to share his response real quick?
Alright,
I wasn't giving you license to like troll around on Twitter during the whole podcast, Danny. I just wanted to. Okay, we'll see the follow-up and then we'll move on.
Okay. So where's my Twitter? Okay.
I'm the
screen?
producer. I'm the producer of Left Right Pair Guys, so I direct Danny to do things. Sorry, that triggers everyone here.
So this is what he has to say. I see emotional intelligence is not one of your strong points. Blocking you and reporting you is a right I can choose to exercise. I didn't do either, but warned you that I have no tolerance for COVID disinfo. If Twitter chooses to nuke your account for that, they're right also.
All right, you're wasting your time with this guy.
Okay.
This is such a waste.
This is how people think.
Right.
Want me to respond to him here on the podcast?
No. We've done one. I gave you one.
All right.
Yeah, we're not going to get in a flame war. That's not interesting content. Just one was interesting as an example. But what we are going to do very soon is we're going to have Danny's going to give us a play-by-play, an active play-by-play of how he ingests his information. So this is like a glimpse of that, and it won't be just you. Hopefully, you're not just getting on Twitter and trolling with people. That's a little different, right? You're going to show me how you actually get information, right? Yeah, and I'll sort of ask him questions about like why he goes to this publication, what he gets from it. And we're big.
Hang on, mailman here.
All right, I'll just let it run inside.
All right.
I was gonna pause. I paused it for a second, but I might as well just leave it because here's a play-by-play. Is he wearing a mask? Good on him if he's not wearing a mask. Good for you, Mr.
No, he wasn't.
Good. Very
Nobody wears masks here.
Outside, anyway.
Outside.
Yeah, but
maybe even inside, most people don't.
Nice. Okay. Well, why don't you tell us what?
Okay, so I'm in Florida, and as everybody knows, Florida has done absolutely nothing to stop the quote-unquote spread of quote-unquote COVID.
But you're the 11th best in the country, I think.
Well, I don't know what that means, but there's nothing here. Right. There's no plague here. I don't know anybody who's had it. I don't know anybody, let alone who's died from it. I don't know anybody through 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon who's gotten it or died from it. Or 3 degrees. I literally, I don't know. I know, okay, I know 2 people who work as nurses in a hospital, and they say, obviously, there's people in their respiratory wards who are getting sick and dying, but that's not new, obviously. You know, any year, there's going to be people dying in respiratory wards. That's not new. So I can't take, like, other than these literal nurses, I'm talking about regular people who are not in the medical field, regular people. I don't know anybody through 2 or even 3 degrees of Kevin Bacon who's gotten sick, let alone died from it. So, and this state, as we all know, has done absolutely nothing. No lockdowns, none of this 25, 50% capacity bullshit, no social distancing, no masks, unless you're a snowbird from New York. Literally, that's the only people who are wearing masks are snowbirds. Like native Floridians don't wear any masks.
Yeah, and let me just add while you do whatever the heck you're doing, that Danny started in Baltimore. We both grew up in Baltimore, and that's how we bonded, because we appreciate.
We're from Baltimore, hon.
Balmer.
Maryland, you know, Balmer, Maryland, up by the bay. We got a bay.
Right. Let me finish what I was saying. We both started doing the accent, the Baltimore accent, and and he started joining in. He was like, "Oh, you know what? You know how to talk like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, hon."
Okay, hon. Hey, Robbie, let's get back on topic.
I know, but the point is, he's in
Change the
Florida.
subject.
He moved to Florida. The point I wanted to make is
Yeah.
he moved to Florida, and he left us. So, and he's acting like we didn't do anything. He's like he's been there the whole time or something. But he was in one of the Hitlerian Third Reich states, like Heil Hogan, Heil Hogan, Larry Hogan. All right, go ahead.
That would be the Fourth Reich, Rob.
Yes, Fourth Reich states. The Left Reich, the Left Reich pair of guys.
It's a new world order.
No, you're not allowed to do that.
You can do it too.
All right. All right.
So anyway, I
Anyway,
can personally report that the state that has done the absolute least, bordering on zero, to quote stop the spread of quote COVID unquote, has no quote COVID unquote. There's nothing. Nothing is odd. You wouldn't know that you're walking around in a plague-ridden society. You wouldn't know that the worst plague of 100 years is upon us. There's nothing. There's
Right.
nothing. It's normal. It's absolutely normal here. There is no plague.
right. And I've observed that here too. So interestingly enough, but I do observe a pandemic of fear, and Maryland particularly, they just look at you and like a lower than human if you don't observe their stupid guidelines.
Because it means you don't care about others.
Right. You are anti-humanitarian. You must follow Heil Hitler, his guidelines.
You can't say that on YouTube.
Right. So, but it's called parody and satire. So hopefully,
You have to edit it out though.
Heil Hogan, Heil Hogan.
Maybe that's allowed.
Can I hold a sign that says someone is a fascist or someone is Hitler? Because Gina Carano got banned for comparing something to the Holocaust. Give me your little spiel.
No.
Let's
Well, we say hashtag never again, because we know that the Holocaust was not a fluke. It is a potentiality that exists in the mind and heart of every human being on the earth. Anybody can create a Holocaust if the conditions are right. So we say never, never again to prevent this. And that implies that it could happen again and we must stop it. And when we are close to having one, we need to be able to say that it is happening, or else what is the point? If you cannot say it is happening, then what is the point of never again?
Well, when you say it, Danny, when you say Holocaust, you're diminishing the experience of those who actually experienced the Holocaust. So it's hateful for you to compare your experience or the encroachment of your rights to the actual Holocaust. It's anti-Semitic.
All right, oy vey, shmear. Let's say in a hypothetical that there is a new Holocaust shaping up.
That's so good.
Let's say that it is coming. What are you going to do? Are you going to speak about it? Or will you keep silent?
It's
if you're
impossible.
going to speak about it,
it's not happening. You're a conspiracy theorist, and your speech is harming others, and we need to protect others from dangerous thoughts. Critical thinking is harmful. Critical thinking is more harmful in our climate than abject obedience. I'll show you. I believe it was New York Times or Time Magazine that said critical thinking, not so good. Not so good. Yeah, you don't want to do any of that thing.
I remember.
No. Listen, Maury. You don't want to do any of that critical thinking. You don't want to be reading your own books.
Aye,
You need to be watching Fox News
aye,
or
aye,
CNN, but good publications with New York Times. You read the Times? Do you read the Times?
aye, lachai, lachai, lecha, lecha, shlecha, beicha, lecha. Aye, very schwer.
Lecker schmeckle lechem.
Aye, gewollt.
I'm looking
I
up.
wasn't finished.
Okay, I'm gonna take away the share screen actually.
All
And-
right.
okay.
You will play the Karen. All right. Let's say, is it hypothetically possible that another Holocaust could happen?
I no, I've never seen or heard of one. So what do you mean?
Then why do we tweet never again? What's the purpose of this?
It's a nice hashtag that people can get behind, and it gets trending on Google, and people will perhaps they'll wear their mask more so that never again will I spread the virus. It just sort of a vague catchphrase that's easy to chant for the black, because the soldiers, the Black Lives Matter soldiers, they're not quite, I don't know, on the same level as us who follow the trends. And so yeah, never again it's a nice little catchy trend. You get it? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Of course. So what you're saying is that you are not willing to perform your duties of Holocaust vigilance. You're not willing to look out to make sure that it never happens. You're not willing to be vigilant. You lose your status as a righteous guy. You have to recognize that it can happen. Will you recognize that? Say yes.
Yes, I do recognize that,
All right.
and I
So,
respect your
if it can happen again, then what should we do when we see it again?
Most of all, we need to maintain the narrative
Social
needs to be
distancing.
social distancing and mental distancing. Let's talk about mental distancing. You need to distance yourself from dangerous ideas like Ben Shapiro, for instance, total white supremacist, total anti-Semite. You gotta distance yourself from Stefan Molyneux, Jordan Peterson, anybody with a blog. They're right out. You gotta stay away from that stuff. Mental distancing.
You're not answering my question. My question was.
I did answer your question. I said follow the guidelines more so that you understand better.
So you're not allowed to speak about it. You cannot raise the flags and the alarms and say, hey, everybody, look, there's a Holocaust coming. You're not allowed to speak of it. This does not work. If you cannot speak of it, then it will happen because you cannot alert anyone that it's happening. This is a recipe for allowing the next Holocaust to happen. You made a recipe for it. You're making it automatic that when it happens, it will happen because no one can speak of it. No one can tell his neighbor.
I disagree.
It is happening.
What you're doing right now is anti-Semitic.
Fuck you.
Well, that's illegal word, so We're going to profanity.
You're a schlemiel.
You're harming.
You're a mashugana fagel schlemiel.
Listen, go get some bagels and shut up, okay?
Just because my
I'm
name
allowed
is
to be
Bagel
anti-Semitic.
Blatt doesn't mean I eat bagels every day.
I'm a medical professional. I'm allowed to be an anti-Semite. I'm on the front lines. People are dying.
They're going to die a lot more if you give them that genetic modification needle, you schlemiel.
It's just dangerous and it's disrespectful to the people on the front lines who need to do TikTok dances to save lives. You're disrespecting their dance moves, which are so funky and like snappy. We're saving lives every day.
This TikTok dance is, mashugana. Mashugana means crazy in Yiddish. They are crazy. Mashugana, I cannot resist. I cannot resist.
All right, I found it. New York Times. It's an article called "Don't Go Down the Rabbit Hole." Okay, have you read it?
I remember that.
Okay, I want to hear your opinion on this and sort of. I'm gonna pull it up and you can sort of commentate.
Do you want to hear my Jewish opinion, my Scottish opinion, my Russian opinion, my
How
Indian
about
opinion?
I'll let you, since I shut you down earlier, you can do it as the New World Order guy. Because I feel bad. I feel
the New World Order guy.
There will be no critical thinking. So you can do it. Hold on, I have it. If I might have to pay through a paywall so we can keep talking. Oh, good. Okay. I hate that I had, in order to have a podcast these days, you really have to pay like so you can review articles. All right, here goes. Can you resuming the share?
In the New World Order, there will be no chips and salsa. Chips and salsa are right out.
Right out in the New World Order.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. By the way, I am not doing an all-purpose one-size-fits-all Nazi. I am specifically doing
got to mix up, you know.
Schwab of the World Economic Forum.
They were even nice, like sort of these guys who are like easy to get along with, you know, like reasonable sounding guys. So let's just talk like reasonable guys, okay? You mess with Hitler, you're going to get shot in the firing line. You're going to. It's
entirely reasonable. Don't go down the rabbit hole.
You gotta go faster than that. That's too crazy.
Critical thinking, as we are taught to do it, isn't helping in the fight against misinformation.
By Charlie Vossel. He's proper Aryan. Look at his eyes. His blonde, blue eyes. Perfect person to tell us how to think.
For an academic,
no, this is
Caulfield has an odd request. Stop overthinking what you see online. All right, I will do quicker German. Quicker, right. I will be quicker. Mr. Caulfield, a digital literacy expert at the Washington State University in Vancouver, knows all too well that this is very important.
More people are fighting for the opportunity to lie to you than at perhaps any other point in human history. Misinformation rides the greased algorithmic rails of powerful social media platforms and travels at velocities and in volumes that make it nearly impossible to stop. That alone makes information warfare an unfair fight for the average internet user. But Mr. Caulfield argues that the deck is stacked even further against us, that the way we're taught from a young age to evaluate and think critically about information is fundamentally flawed and out of step with the chaos of the current internet. Well, I actually agree with that. We are not taught to think critically and dissent from opinions. We're taught that in order to protect ourselves from bad information, we need to deeply engage with the stuff that washes up in front of us. What? No, we're not. We're told to avoid that stuff. We're told like that's just, no, you have to read this book and that's all hogwash. He suggested that the dominant mode of media literacy is that you'll get imperfect information, then use reasoning to fix that. What the heck? But in reality, that strategy can completely backfire. In other words, resist the lure of rabbit holes, in part by reimagining media literacy for the internet hellscape. Go back to your TV. The internet is hell. Holy God. Was that Jim Carrey? Was that the Jim Carrey fake Illuminati thing? Yeah. Oh man, it's often counterproductive to engage directly with content from an unknown source, and people can be led astray by false information. I just don't understand. So their final recommendation is what? Okay, yeah, Storm.
Final. I like the word final. Final recommendation.
Yeah. Final solution, right? Weihnachten.
Is to avoid at all costs misinformation and critical thinking.
Right, exactly.
Schwab out.
Schwab out. Klaus Schwab. He sounds
You should,
so much.
when you edit this, you should put a quick picture of Klaus Schwab so people know who that is.
I am way too lazy to edit these things. But maybe someday. I was thinking of doing compilations and like moments. Like I thought it was kind of cute when your mom came in, so we could have that. Maybe that video will be a hit. Just the Lefty getting his mom. Is that okay with you, or does that bother you?
I don't know. Up to you.
Your mom probably wouldn't like it. Sharon, she's not.
No, because this is a far-right extremist, seditious, insurrectionist, Trump-tard supporting, medical misinformation spreading, far-right blog. So, no, I don't think she'd like that.
Yeah, and she's definitely leans far left. But I talked with her.
No, Robbie, no. That's not the far left. The establishment is not the left.
Yeah, well, whatever you call it. What are you saying? Are you saying there is a good far left?
Yes.
Are you a good far leftist?
Yes.
You actually establish or identify as left still?
I mean, I don't identify, but I agree with, okay, some of the things I believe overlap with some of the things that the right believes, including the far right. And some of the things I believe overlap with what the left believes, including the far left.
Right. So it's
because I don't care where it is on the spectrum. All I care about is, does it make sense logically?
The reason I identify as the right in this podcast is because I identify more with, I like your analogy. The left is, even though you have it wrong in the scheme of the car, but there's gas and brakes, and I think you should always put on the brakes. And in fact, go in reverse, look in your rearview mirror and be like, hey, I missed the turn somewhere way back there, or do a full U-turn. I'm like the U-turn, like let's do a U-turn and find the traditional ancestral principles. I'm like a hillbilly, you know what I'm saying? Like the hillbillies aren't having problems in a theoretically, the Appalachian peoples were just fine as they were, even though they were racist or whatever. Like it doesn't matter because they don't come across people who are that different from them. They just had like a self-contained community, you know. And in fact, when a black person would show up, it's not like they would string them up, you know, and in you know, drop of a dime. They would probably just be polite to them. Have you ever heard of Southern comfort, or what's the other word for, like,
Hospitality.
yeah, Southern hospitality, exactly. They're just nice. So if there's somebody who came who spoke a different language or whatever, they generally just, I would say they'd probably make fun of them.
We can't understand you. Go back to wherever you done came from.
Yeah, it's not like that. Not in my observation. I ran into some douchey, you know, Southern people one time, and I was looking for a CD store with my cousin one time, and he was like, what the F are you talking about? I'm like, there's a CD store called Volume that we read about on the internet. Do you know where that is? And the guy was like, follow the rainbow, bro. That's what he said. He's like, follow the rainbow. And I was like, yeah, that's like a douchey college frat boy from the South. That's different. That's different than, like, you know, most Southern families, upstanding citizens.
That was a code, I think.
Follow the rainbow.
I think he was telegraphing his you know, he liked you.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, we know that anybody who's homophobic must automatically be gay too. I don't agree with that either, but it's like, so.
Okay, so you met one nasty Southerner.
Yeah,
I agree.
mean,
most of them are very hospitable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the point I was trying to make, is that it's like, but even more, we can do better. We can get people who are more traditional. We can get people to follow their traditional upbringing, I guess, or their traditional values. Like, where are values when you dilute? Stop it. I don't appreciate this. I could see the point of having both screens open is to show our reactions, and this is
What
like,
am I doing?
You're sitting like this.
So
that is so condescending.
can I explain what far left means in
I like
this
this.
context?
This is cute.
So the far left.
This is definitely the screenshot for this episode.
So where the far left comes in with restoring traditional communities is recognizing how capitalism is what broke down the traditional communities in the first place.
As in, I hope you mean by like larger corporate capitalism. You don't mean like the free market.
When I say capitalism, I'm not talking about freedom. If I want to talk about freedom, I'll say freedom.
Yeah.
When I talk about capitalism, I mean specifically a new system of economics that was introduced during the colonial age and is superimposed on top of the existing traditional economic system. The traditional system was you live in a village or a town, you cooperate with your neighbors, you buy and sell because you need to, but you don't try to enrich yourself at the expense of your neighbors by using all of this trickery to get them to funnel their wealth and power into you. That's capitalism. That's not freedom. That's conniving, scheming. Capitalism has an innate conniving, scheming element to it. And the way you connive and the way you connive and scheme is you break down an existing system by which people are meeting their needs. You break down a traditional instinctual relationship based on family ties or community ties, which involves no money exchange. It involves people just helping each other just instinctually without money being involved. And you break that down, you either sabotage it in some way so that it can't continue, or you trick people into abandoning it and you replace it with a new relationship that performs basically the same service but involves money exchange. That's called transactionalization.
Let me just try to spell out what I think you're saying. Where are you going?
Letting the doggy in.
Okay. This is what I think you're trying to say. It's almost like the withholding of knowledge in order to charge a premium for hidden knowledge of what you're actually doing. And that could be something as simple as like a secret formula for a flavor or something like that. Like Coca-Cola would be a good example. It's like a recipe that they never actually tell you the real what it's made of, and they say like, this is the secret sauce, and they charge more for it because it's special and it gives you that Coca-Cola feeling. Would that be too occult, like too hidden, or is that not a good example?
Well, that gets into intellectual property,
right.
which I also disagree with, but I want to take one thing at a time here. So
give me an example.
Okay, I'll give you 3 examples. Right. So number 1, let's say that you own a bar or a club, and there's like 8 clubs on the strip, and you're in like a small town, and there's a park across the street or nearby. Traditionally, people meet in the park in order to socialize, and they play music in the park, they sing in the park, they dance. This actually still happens in places outside of the United States. The parks are the main place where people congregate to sing, dance, and be happy and see each other and socialize.
But instead, they have a club. Yeah.
So let's say you have a bar or a club, and you want people in your bar or club and not in the park. So what do? You use your money, you take the town councilors out to dinner, and you convince them that parks are dangerous places at night. People have been mugged in parks. You need to do the responsible thing and close the parks at night. So you sabotage the traditional system so that people have no more system to use to meet their needs, and then you sell them the new alternative. That's example number 1. Example number 2, the breakup of the family. Let's say you have a mother who's taking care of the kids at home, traditional. Well, there's no money in that. The money would be in if there was like a daycare that provided the service of childcare for money. So you break up the family, you make the woman go out and work and have a career, and now you get to put the kids in daycare. Now there's a money transaction, and now that adds to the GDP. There's no addition to GDP,
or there would be like
feminine motherly labor at home.
Let me say there would be like an exchange of, you watch the kids, you're my friend, or you're my neighbor.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and you would just watch the
kids. Grandma can watch the kids. If you get rid of that relationship,
people still do that.
I know, but there's an incentive in any capitalist society. There's an incentive to break that down by any means necessary. Even if you can't force people to stop, you can still just convince them to stop. You can maybe put out media that convinces them that it's too old-fashioned and it's lame, and like the cool thing to do and the scientific thing to do, because daycares are scientifically proven to make children learn faster. So it's
there's certifications. So they're like, I'm a daycare specialist,
right?
And I have developmental knowledge. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to bring in this idea of occult knowledge, that's actually mind control. Somebody knowing something and then not reporting it to you, not telling you they know something.
Well, that's the next level.
Like hypnotism.
Yeah, that's the next level. That's a little bit higher than what I'm talking about here.
Higher.
Here, I'm just talking about breaking down the traditional relationship and replacing it with a transactional one. That adds to GDP. That's a good thing in capitalism's eyes. in the eyes of any traditionalist, it's a bad thing because you're breaking down traditions and systems. But it's a good thing to capitalism because it adds to the GDP. It creates a transaction, a means by which money can now change hands.
My problem with your assertion there is that there's no centralized enforcement of that, because the daycare industry is not extremely manipulated.
No.
Yeah,
But you don't necessarily need a centralized system. All you need is media and movies and TV shows that tell people subtly that it's cool to use daycare and it's uncool and too old-fashioned to use the traditional methods.
So no, that's a good point. You can, through propaganda, control people, and you can bolster the capitalist corporate system.
Yeah.
Right. I remember the first time I found out about GPS, and it was in the movie Evan Almighty, the sequel to Bruce Almighty, and it was a advertisement for something that clearly gives them a way to track you very easily, right? Like GPS, global positioning system. And in this movie, at the beginning of the movie, they're just driving, and Steve Carell is driving, and he's like, hit the GPS. And then she goes, "How did we ever live without GPSs?" And he goes, "We didn't."
Yeah, that's propaganda right there.
Right.
Somebody paid them to put that in there.
Absolutely was paid by, I think above and beyond just the GPS industry. I think it's DARPA, like the Department of Defense put that in because that's who developed that technology originally. And then it trickles down. I'm sure they've had that technology for 30, 40 years. But let me get my tinfoil hat a second. And let's just talk about DARPA and how technology.
Hold on, but I didn't give you example number 3.
I know. Sorry. This is a very free-form show, but yeah, sorry, you were making good points.
It was really relevant, Robbie.
I know number 3.
Okay, elections.
I like this thing. Do you like this?
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
It brings out your feminine side.
Tell us about election number 3.
Okay. Well, we didn't seem to have a problem with elections in the 1800s. We didn't have any machines. All we had were paper ballots and little cardboard boxes and human observers, and it was fine. There was no problem with it. It's virtually impossible to cheat with a traditional election system. In order to cheat, you need machines. You have to have mechanical voting in order to cheat. And mechanical voting is incentivized by capitalism because the more complex the system, the more parts it has, the more money there is in making it. Like there's almost no money in making a cardboard box and paper ballots. The money is all in the machines, and especially the computerized machines. There's even more money in the computerized ones. The more complex the election machine is, the more companies are involved, the more jobs are involved, the more workers, the more paychecks, the more salaries, the more money, and the more GDP. So they've taken a non-transactional relationship, i.e. 1800s elections, where there was no money involved. It was all volunteer. You show up, you observe the process. It's all right there in front of you. Nobody can cheat. And they replaced it with a mechanized version that's so open to cheating. And it was capitalism that drove that because there's the money incentive in it. And so if it weren't for that, now I'm not saying that capitalism is the ultimate root cause of all this. Right. That's where I would differ from my other friends on the left. They think that the problem just starts with capitalism. I think it goes deeper than that. I think the problem is metaphysical and spiritual, and there are principalities and all that in high places. But capitalism is one of the tools that those principalities use in order to advance technocracy. Capitalism is the vehicle through which the principalities advance technocracy through the realm of economics. When technocracy shows up, in the realm of economics, it shows up as capitalism. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I more or less agree, because that capitalism and communism are two sides of the same coin of managed economies. And actually, I don't think there's ever truly been a pure theoretical communism instituted. They tried with the early Bolshevik thing, but what Anthony Sutton reports in Wall Street and in the Bolshevik Revolution is
Wait,
that
didn't he write Wall Street and the Nazis?
he did too. He's done both.
Okay.
Yeah, he's covered both sides. And also Joel Skousen is the guy who wrote The Naked Capitalist. He wrote The Naked Communist, and he wrote The Naked Capitalist. So they're always like trying to paint John Birch Society types as just anti-communist, like, right wingers, but they are against both sides. They're against the Leninism and Trotskyism. There's two. Trotsky is more of the capitalist guy who like infiltrates by stealth, and he says like, oh, this is the free market. And he came back over here and he managed a lot of what became Bushism and Reaganism and Nixon and all that. He managed all that through Kissinger. That was like a descendant of that ideology and that strategy more than anything. I think it's more like Fabian socialism. So you got Jacobins.
So
And then you have this Fabian, which I would say that's what we're mostly experiencing now in the pandemic, the controlled globalist takeover that we are under a globalist occupation right now, which uses corporations in tandem with local and state and federal government and bureaucracy, infiltration, not invasion, of those.
on infiltration, not invasion.
Right. And somehow do it.
Covet means.
Covet means. What do you mean covet? I don't covet my neighbor. No, covet. Oh, covert. I get it. Thanks.
On suppression instead of exposure. I don't remember the speech.
It's an amazing speech, the JFK.
Well, we are opposed around the world by a ruthless and monumental conspiracy. By a monumental and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means.
Covet means.
Relies on infiltration instead of invasion. On
suppression, not some.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a sick thing. But I would say, like, I have gotten more guff from the corporate side than anything. I mean, I have not been harassed by a police officer. I haven't been harassed only in upholding these private property rights. It's their right to expel you or trespass you because you're not following their rules, but they're following guidelines and rules. And the public health department is, the Yakuza, who's showing up to their doorstep and saying, if you don't follow these rules, we keep getting reports that you're letting people walk around without masks. If you don't enforce this, then we're going to enforce fines. So they've got a Gestapo that has a literal army of Karens that are unpaid. That's the amazing thing about Karens. It's a self-sustaining army who enforces these draconian measures through complaining to the manager. And it drives me crazy that on the prevailing definition of Karen online is a lady who doesn't wear a mask. Because the lady who doesn't wear a mask, the last thing she wants to do is talk to the manager. She just wants to get her groceries and leave without being harassed. That is not a Karen. A Karen is a person who sees someone without a mask and is like 50 feet away.
I need to add Karen to the list of terms that changed. I didn't show you that, did I?
No, that sounds like a good article, Danny.
Hey, it's on my hard drive. Why don't you hit pause? I'll go get it.
Okay. Or I could do a little song and dance. You don't think I can entertain the people without you? You think I can't hold down the fort without you, Danny? Okay, I'll pause it. Danny's doing some deep state stuff. I like to use that as a modifier for things that are a little shifty. They'll just be like, I'm doing some deep state stuff. I'm getting into some deep state. Or saying something's good. And be like, this deer jerky is deep state, y'all. Or deep steak. If you're like praising I don't want to cover your ears, Danny. I don't want to bother you. If you're praising like a delicious meaty meal, just be like, this is some deep steak. Having some deep steak. Okay. I had a little heart to heart with the podcast followers. Subscribe. Click the bell. Click the bell, because that gives you notification. I don't know. Do whatever you want. Subscribe and like.
Okay.
No, you have to. If you're watching this, it is of the utmost importance that you subscribe, because we need this to go out far and wide. I'm serious. Important stuff.
I think I should put Karen on this list.
Yeah. Mansplaining, and why don't you maximize that, homie? Okay, just share a few. I don't want to go through them all. What's your favorite one?
Troll. A person who uses caustic. Oh, the old meaning of troll is a person who uses caustic and repetitious words and or pictures to crowd out and disrupt a group conversation and prevent the rest of the participants from being able to continue the discussion. That's what troll meant before Facebook. After Facebook, troll means someone I disagree with. A bot is a non-human artificial intelligence programmed by a corporation or state actor to generate the appearance of consensus for a particular idea for the purpose of manufacturing public consent for that idea. That's the old meaning of bot. New meaning of bot, someone I disagree with. Grifter. Old meaning, a person who only pretends to believe in or care about a particular issue in order to gain a following, usually for the purpose of selling books and or other merchandise. New meaning, someone I disagree with. Bigot.
Okay, let's skip to mansplaining.
Okay, but people are listening on audio. They're not looking at like the video.
I know, but I don't want to do them all. It's going to take forever.
Okay, one more. Russian. A citizen of the Russian Federation and or an immigrant from the same or someone descended from the same who identifies with said ancestry. New meaning, someone I disagree with.
Good one.
We also have mansplaining, misogyny, pseudoscience, hate, bigot, and I was going to add shitposting.
Yeah, that's true.
And Karen.
Or just like misinformation.
Yeah.
But there's not a noun for that. But yeah, a purveyor of misinformation. That's what you are, Danny. You're anti-science.
Crank. That's what that guy McClintock or whatever called me. He called me a crank.
It's really easy to get people in like activism, involved in activism that doesn't require much. So yelling at someone for not wearing a mask doesn't require much investment, because it's like you agree, automatically 9.9 out of 10 people in the room agree with you. So yeah, it'd be just by acquiescence. You know, most of them would not say anything, so they think they're super super citizens. That's what you are. You're a super citizen. And that is the essence of Karenism. Karenism is somebody who really knows how to follow the rules, like to a T. Like this.
And they get that smug sense of satisfaction on their faces when they tell you they're going to report you. Like, I'm going to report you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're happy about it. They're happy that they got the chance to report. Like they're happier about the chance to report you than they are angry about whatever it was that you did.
Yeah. Unshare your screen. So yeah, I mean, Karenism it's a virus. I mean, maybe that's what it is. This is the pandemic of Karenism. It's a Karendemic.
It's a dem panic.
Dem panic. I like that. That's really good. I did have a sign. That's good. I had a sign that said pandemic without dem is panic, but that's even better because that encapsulates the joke.
Yeah.
A dem panic. It really is.
All right.
I mean, it's horrendous how established, like, people jump to the opportunity to defend the establishment. It's disgusting. Like we used to have activists that were actual activists, people who would get shot with a tear gas grenade at Kent State, who to oppose the war, a meaningful. I know, that's the point I'm making. I know it wasn't right. That's the exact reason I'm doing a podcast with you. Do you understand? Like, I get that. And anti-war was something that I didn't understand because I was like, oh, we got to be the police for the world. And I didn't realize, I still think it's right to use might to protect the innocent. I really do. I think that's correct. But what they do is they use propaganda and lies about their actual intentions. I don't think it's for oil. I think that was what the left was wrong about with Iraq, that it wasn't about oil. There's so many other reasons for us to destabilize.
There was levels to it. Like each level had its reason. So like it was about oil at a certain level for the oil companies and Halliburton, but it was also about selling bombs for the defense contractors. It was also about taking over the land of Sumer in order to dig up all the ancient high technology alien stargates under the ground. It was that too.
But I also think, and a lot of things I don't think you necessarily agree with me, is that they want radical Islam to take position. They created power vacuums that allowed the Muslim Brotherhood and these sort of things to actually gain a foothold, which is ironic because they claim to be anti-Al-Qaeda and to have this.
Oh no, I know they set up Al-Qaeda. I know that.
Yeah, they set that up. It might have been as a pawn or a patsy for all the other things that they're actually doing. Who could say? But we know that a lot of that Islamic, radical Islamic doctrine, it is very globalist in nature, and very communistic and very authoritarian, right? Which I think we can agree, like face coverings is a very clear psychological attack. It's a very clear psychological what's a good word? Demoralizer. It just completely demoralizes you as a person.
Dehumanizer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Soldiers are like twice as able to shoot someone if the person's face is being covered. Whereas if they see the face, they have like compassion and mercy, but if they can't see your face, it's easier to pull that trigger. So they want us to have our faces covered so that our neighbors can do horrible authoritarian atrocities to us without feeling as much remorse.
Yeah, and now they're talking about the zombie apocalypse on the CDC website. Did you see this?
No.
Yeah, they talked about it like be prepared for a zombie preparedness. It's for real.
Was it tongue in cheek?
No.
What?
I'll show
They're
you.
talking about zombies?
I want to know your opinion. I'll show you. It really
'Cause
was.
they do joke about this. They have joked about that in the past. Oh, dude, that's tongue in cheek, dude.
Wonder why zombie apocalypse and zombie preparedness continue. Even this is bothering me, seriously.
Look, tongue in cheek. It says it right there, tongue in cheek.
What first began as a tongue-in-cheek campaign
Okay, but Rob,
has
this-
proven to be a very
this
effective platform. Do you see that?
is tongue in cheek. The
We
CDC is not actually talking about zombies. Like, it's tongue in cheek. It literally is.
It's still, you don't think they're taking the step. They're taking the next.
No, you're right. It is predictive programming.
Exactly. They're bringing it one step close forward in that acceptance into reality as a real scenario. If it's on the CDC's website, how many how many games have you played where the CDC was involved in the zombie apocalypse? There was like 28 Days Later, World War Z. They made it a very real scenario. That's the point. Is this better like this?
Sure. You know that's not going to be allowed in the New World Order. No scrunchies.
There are no kerchiefs or
Absolutely no scrunchies.
and no pink things, no fluffy stuff. None of
that. Nothing pink.
no, nothing fruity.
Pink was the old world order. There's only one thing that is allowed pink in the new world order. Do you know what it is?
What? Swastikas.
Men's clothing.
In the new world order.
Only men may wear pink. For this is the way to overcome fragile masculinity and latent homophobia.
In the new world order, there will be only one breed of dog, the Schnauzer.
and the German Shepherd. And
I was gonna go German Shepherd, but I went Schnauzer.
Schnauzer's funnier, yes.
Thanks. Like a sudden turn, a sudden change of heart there. The German Shepherd. It's too obvious. But I think we've covered all the bases. Could you just give me a rundown of your take on opium this week? Because you said you had a positive feeling the other day. Could you just do that before we close out?
On what?
Before we close out in a word of prayer, could you do actually that would be kind of cool, but I don't know. Give us your hopium for the week, because you called me. You haven't had any hopium.
Oh, right.
You were in withdrawal. You were in the methadone clinic for hopium.
Right. It just feels to me like Biden is not in control. It's just the overall feeling I'm getting. It feels like public opinion is really, really, really against that whole administration.
He won't allow people to. He doesn't appear in crowds.
Yeah, something is really off about it. Like, I don't have to trust the Q people in order to notice that something's off about the whole thing.
And let's just give a disclaimer that QAnon is a white wing.
It's a white ring
conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theory.
One ring to
That has been discredited and debunked and refuted and has no evidence and zero evidence and is evidence-free and fact-free and not fact-based.
Right. So if I was going to define QAnon to people, I would say it is a series of posts that might be from the same guy online on a very open forum that are being interpreted by large groups of people. And that series of posts has the common thread of, anti-globalism and anti-corrupt government, anti-child trafficking, and then assertions that this person posting it knows what's happening. And you can look at what they say yourself and determine based on your own eyes and ears and senses what is happening, or if any of it has credibility. They also have a tendency to make predictions that never come true. That's the common of
That's true. The predictions never come true.
There are arrests that are made though, which that does come true, but it never comes true on a timeline. Never trust the timeline of the predictions. But like, for instance, Trump's Twitter did get censored eventually, which was a post. So that's a fact. You can't refute that. And around that same time, there was a post that that post that predicted it was from like 2018. In that post, a few other things happened, like the 11th Military Mountain Division got activated and all this stuff. 10th Mountain, I forgot what it was called.
Division.
Yeah, 10th Mountain Division. And they did get activated, correct?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
Pence gave that speech where they were, and they were like,
Where are you going?
I don't know.
You sunk my battleship. No, nine. Excuse me. That beef jerky is. We've lost Danny. Rose, I'll always remember you.
Brains. Where's brains? Where's the CDC? We need the CDC.
Anything else?
Dr. Fauci, where are you?
Okay, so basically you think that there's no respect for Biden. That's sort of where you landed.
Yeah.
Okay, I can get down with that. I can get down with that. Have regained.
Are we done?
It's been like over an hour. We don't want to make it too long.
I think we're done. I think we're
Okay.
Did you see the video of like the kids coming out of the White House? I sent you.
No.
It was about minute 2:20. I would share it, but videos don't look very good on this sharing program. We need to get a better sharing program. It just doesn't look very clean.
Yeah. I think I hurt my neck a little bit doing that zombie stunt.
You want to borrow this?
Yeah, I'm going to need that. Okay, so let's wrap up, dude. It's been like 2 hours.
Hanging it on my webcam.
We don't want to ask too much of our audience all at once.
I know. Well,
They're
soon,
busy people. They have things to do. So
watch it on 2X. Watch it on 2X, and it's only a 30-minute podcast. It's all good, y'all. Peace out.
peace, Nick. Peace. Can't say that.
Danny's definitely like more free in his speech because he's a leftist, so he gets a pass.
Yeah. The rules don't apply to me as much as they do to you because
Yeah.
I'm in the correct tribe and you're in the bigoted tribe. So
Yeah, and if you have a person of color who disagrees with you, you're allowed to in public call them a racial slur.
if you're on the left,
Right. If they disagree with
not
you.
if you're on the right, you can't do that. Remember, you can't do that.
I was not going to do that.
Okay. Make sure you stay within the lines of respectable speech, Nick.
Nicholas. My name is Nicholas, my middle name.
I can't say it either.
You tried. I did. YouTube like reached in and into your throat and like was like, you can't say that word. You're not allowed. I think of YouTube not as a Nazi. Actually, I think of it as a. I'm like one of these guys, you know. Oh, you can't say that. Not in my house. This is my house. You gotta respect the law. I'm the sheriff. I'm the sheriff of this town. You better do what I say, boy. You better do what I say. A plantation owner, right? That's what it is.
I don't know. I'm getting tired of all this. I kind of want to go. Can we go now, Robbie? Can I get my hall pass to go out? Am I under curfew? Are you instituting a curfew here?
You
For
leave.
COVID or something? I want to go. Can I go, please?
Oh, you gotta do your chores.
I've got to go shopping.
Put on a mask.
No,
Wear a mask.
no.
I'll call
All
it.
right, bye-bye, everybody. This is Robbie here. I'm Danny. We're the left-right pair of guys. Tune in again. We'll be back tomorrow or the day after and listen to our podcasts. All right? All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.